People, Deluded, I'm back again. Now, last night, obviously, Arsenal lost away from home to Sheffield United. Continued our poor form, which has been plaguing us for the last couple of years, including last season and excluding Newcastle. This season, it's another away test. We ultimately failed to come past. Obviously, I've got the tactics board. I watched the game again. And thought, you know what, there's some things I'd like to speak about, because I'm pretty sure in all my reviews, I praise Sheffield United, and I feel Sheffield United, you lot know I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm a proud Arsenal man, but I'm a fan of football, and I have to give credit where due, man. From a tactical point of view, it was refreshing seeing it from Sheffield United, seeing a way of playing. It almost made me jealous, seeing that the coach has put his blueprint. There's a clear way of playing. They can tweak, because they did in the second half. They tweaked it a bit. People understand what they need to do. They clearly worked on it all week. Chris Wilder was able to communicate his tactics to his playing staff extremely well. So shout out to his coaching staff. Shout out to Sheffield United's players, on top of just having the application and the hard work. Tactically, they were very good. And a lot of them are experienced individuals who have come up from the Championship. These are very street smart guys, and they did their job. It's a bit irrelevant to the tactics, but the 12th man, Sheffield United, Monday night. I know so many people probably had work that day, probably got work this morning. I don't know geography like that, but I'm going to assume not every Sheffield United fan is from Sheffield, so a lot of them probably had to make the journey, and they were up for it. So credit to everybody in Sheffield United, and we might as well start with them. Now, people, they had a 3-5-2. They had a 3-5-2 of sorts. I liked how off the ball, people, they were difficult to break down, and we'll get onto Aubameyang in a second in regards to this, but they were set up like this. It's a myth when you've got Aubameyang by himself, who hasn't got the best of general play for as good as a striker he is, and you've got your wingers here and you've got your wingers here. You can see how they're going to be outnumbered, people. And to be honest, one thing I think they did very well, I really should have showed you lot this second, but removing these lot for a sec. One thing I liked what they really did is how they pressed us, people. They really pressed us very well, and they set up a lot of traps for us. Now, the first thing that became obvious is they kind of encouraged us to play out from the back, but set up little booby traps. If you look here, we're going to look at the starting positions of our defence. Plenty of times, Socrates... Oh, this ain't working. Plenty of times, Socrates... Apologies, people. Have I got a next one? No. Apologies, people. We just have to work with this. You had Socrates, you obviously had Luiz, you had the two fullbacks. Now, for me, it looked like they were forcing us to play the long ball to our fullbacks, or distribute to our fullbacks, because they were confident that they were going to win it here. They were going to win their individual battles, really, with our fullbacks, and they did, really. They were encouraging us to play to our fullbacks, and you saw, people, it's just going long. To harp on about that again, like I said, the way they pressed us was very well. And I think they pressed us very well as a team. They got up there. When Guendouzi and Xhaka, like, that's Xhaka, that's Guendouzi. When these lot came for the ball to receive, because obviously we're struggling to play out from the back, you saw a striker, you saw a midfielder onto them. You saw people onto them. And there was no way out, people. And with this being said, we were forced to play it. We were forced to play it long to Aubameyang. And now if we bring Pepe and Saka in respectively, they're out there. You've got our midfield. We're playing it long, people. Aubameyang is by himself. You've got the midfielders dropping deep. He's playing against 4 men, 3 centre-halves. He's not going to win it all the time. So he's leaving. He's off scraps. Pepe and Saka are not wide forwards like that. They're playing as wingers, so they're far away from him. And on top of us having no real midfield, the ball is just going to keep going back to them, really and truly, which it did, people. And it was quite... really frustrating from an Arsenal perspective, but admirable from a Sheffield United perspective, people. If we just go on to their shape again, the way they pressed, because sometimes they pressed as a 2, then they went here, then they kind of squeezed up, and they pressed us very well, people. They pressed us very well, in my opinion. They did their job. In terms of holding shape, like I said, they did what they needed to do, people. Get men behind the ball. And this is not going to be broken down. If Aubameyang's by himself, Midfield, there was no creativity, but neither midfielder really has that in their locker. There's that. Saka, a young man against a grown individual. Pepe was doing all right. Like you saw, it was hard for us to win the first and second balls, and in Sunday League you're taught to win them, and we struggled a bit. And not a criticism of Saka and Joe Willock, because they're still developing physically, but you could see, yo, this is a physical battle, backs against the wall, playing with our back to goal sort of thing. So you're kind of pleading for Lacazette to bring a 12th man, just to highlight the point. In fact, let's remove Saka for a sec. You're kind of pleading for Lacazette and Aubameyang together sort of thing. But they did a number on us, man. They really did a number on us, people. And really did a number on us. What was frustrating was the first goal as well, people, if you lot remember correctly. If I bring the back line up a bit. How do I make this make sense? There was play over there. Obviously, this isn't to scale, people. Let's just leave them like that. Now, what frustrated me, yeah, there was about 10, 11 passes for their first goal, people, that led up to that corner. They had a throw-in or something over here. Again, not to scale. But they played very good football. They got out of here. They recycled it. They switched play with their team. They switched play with these men here. If you remember correctly, the wing-back got the ball, if I remember rightly. Wing-back got the ball here. Again, felt tip's not there. He got the ball here, and he played it in behind here. And we made a bit of a mess of it. David Luiz obviously pull it out for a corner. We did our job in that regards. But 10, 11 passes, we just couldn't get next to them early on. They made a fast start. The corner is what I have problems with. Again, not to scale, people, but it seems something like this. I don't know if the players were told, or if the players were briefed, set pieces, this is what Sheffield United looked to do. Because I can't lie, it did look like that in the way we were standing. It looked like zonal, but it looked like we were briefed by Emre or the coaching staff of what to do. And we're hoodwinked. It's like, there's Bear Man there. Xhaka and Kolasinac are like here, people. Obviously, we failed to win the first ball. We haven't been winning our first and second balls all game. The ball obviously fell to, is it Muse, whatever his name is, to on loan Bournemouth lad, if it isn't a permanent. Ball fell to him. He pulled it in. Now, of course, that's poor, man. It was a poor goal. They deserved their goal, but this is a poor sequence of play. They deserved their goal for me purely on how they earned that corner. It was a lovely ball, and they were at it, man. And I feel their wing backs, left mid, right mid, whatever you want to call them, yeah, in that formation, they got up and down the field, people. They were very street smart, respectively, on either side, giving us a lot of problems, really. What I couldn't understand as well, from Emre's point of view, if we're saying that Aubameyang, yeah, they've got they've got 3 at the back, 5 in midfield, yeah, and Aubameyang's by himself, and they're onto our midfield. It's not gonna. We need midfielders that can break the lines, anyways. But the best of strikers is gonna struggle, people. Like, you could literally. This is becoming a theme now, people. In that, if I just set out the team again, it's becoming a bit. It's becoming frustrating because it's becoming an open book to a fair degree, people. Now, in fact, let's say Joe's there, because Joe would likely go and support. You've obviously got Pepe. You've got Saka. It's become an open book, people, man. It's become an open book. We've got no midfield in terms of playing, dictating tempo and all of these things. So, like I said, if they're forcing us to play it long, whenever we were going long, it's just coming back because there's only one man and there's no midfield. You can see how there's a disconnect. They're just going to continuously win this ball and go further forward. And for me, we need a midfield. I don't know what our midfield is doing. I'm not even looking at the players. It's tactically, like, there's no creativity. In terms of creativity, I'm not saying you have to try break the line, but there's no one in that midfield that really is getting the ball, trying to relieve pressure, trying to dictate tempo and things. Ceballos did it a bit, but he was a bit rusty when he came on. It's becoming an open battle in that we've got no midfield. The ball is just going to keep coming back onto us. And that's frustrating because I felt Leno's distribution was poor and so was our playing out from the back. But they were forcing us to go long. And again, Aubameyang's hold-up play is not the best, so he's coming back to us. I couldn't understand the second half because I would have thought Lacazette, alright, fair enough, Lacazette's had injuries, but he got just under 20. I would have thought you go with them two, you go with Saka and Pepe respectively on the flanks, chase the game. Ceballos has come on, take a bit of a risk with the midfield, tell our wing-backs to go further forward and whatnot, tell Kolasinac try and get forward, Chambers kind of stay back because it's not his skill set. I couldn't understand. I would have thought he would have done that. I couldn't understand it, because it's like we had our midfield here. It's like Aubameyang went out here, Lacazette came here, Saka was playing 10, and other guys were doing other things. I didn't get it. Like, Saka can play 10, Saka is good and stuff, but I would have felt, I don't feel Saka had the best of games, but there was a couple of times he's evading challenges and putting nice balls in. I would have thought, Aubameyang and Lacazette, get them together. Get them together. Get the link-up play going. You already saw when Lacazette came on, I felt he was rusty, but the hold-up play, he's there, he's throwing his body around. Different games require a different sort of man. And I would have thought, for one, because they're all occupied with him, that's gonna thingy open up space for Aubameyang, and also they're just gonna play better as a pivot. Maybe Saka can creep behind and stuff, and I think Pepe, apart from his opportunity he missed, had a decent game. But really and truly, I believe we was just tactically outdone today, people. We just lost to the better men. We were extremely poor. I have to give credit to Stevens, Ballon, Ljungberg, Fleck, all them, McGoldrick put in a shift. All of them played well, people. All of them played well from a Sheffield United perspective. Shout out to obviously former Gooner, Luke Freeman, who came off the bench as well. So yeah, man, we just ultimately got outdone, people. I'm trying to check my notes and see if I've forgotten anything. I don't think I actually have. Yeah, we've spoken about the fancy defeat, the fullbacks, and they were really, our distribution from our fullbacks was poor, but they were Chambers. I felt Chambers did alright going forward, but a couple of times him and Pepe, the 1-2 was on, or Pepe span off and he could have played it in behind, but he opted for that. And that's frustrating as well from an Arsenal perspective, is that we get the ball off the centre half. If you remember, say this is, well, let's keep these as strikers. They're being pressed. Xhaka's come for the ball. They've obviously come with him and Guendouzi. Sometimes we escape this, people. Sometimes we're able to escape that player out wide and whatnot, but we weren't holding on to it. It was just immediately being lost when it went long. And there's not really any play in midfield. Like, that's the frustrating one for me, because I can't understand the lack of, not even just creativity, just the lack of midfield in terms of on the ball. And it's very slow. When we get the ball off Xhaka, it's nothing to do with Xhaka necessarily. I just think our team's build-up play is too slow. He's taking 10 years. And more time, it's a backwards pass. It's a backwards pass. It's a backwards pass. It goes forward, it goes back. That just allows Sheffield United, obviously if you do that, people, and you're taking long, just to get back into shape, people. Literally. Especially when they're 1-0 up. Arsenal can take as long as they want building up from the back, people. Do you get? When, one, they've got back, so there's no space for anyone to really play. Two, they're in position. They're a good team to break. They're a good, well-coached team in terms of being hard to break down defensively. And we're playing right into their hands of sorts, people. There's nothing more we can say, but we have to just hold our L, really. Like, there's nothing more to say. We lost. It is what it is. Yeah, man. On that note, there's nothing more to add. People, deluded, I'm out. In fact, there is one thing to add. Apparently, Aubameyang has been nominated for the Ballon d'Or, people. The nominees that I have seen: Sadio Mane, Aguero, De Jong, Luiz, Tadic of Ajax, Mbappe, Trent, Donny van de Beek, Aubameyang, and ter Stegen. Now, where's Messi and Ronaldo? So that might not be the full list, people. I think a Liverpool player has to win it, in my opinion. And there's not really a case to deny Messi, really, in my opinion, either. But I just feel Liverpool won Champions League. Somebody deserves it in that side, even possibly an Ajax player as well, maybe. Of course, I'm going to root for Aubameyang. And he's not played in Europe's top competition in a minute now. And the fact that he's there is good and highlights how good he's been in terms of goal scoring for Arsenal. He won't win it, but it is a good look, people. On that note, though, man, all I can do is say, as an Arsenal fan, we move forward into the fixture against Vitoria in the Europa League, and then Palace on Sunday. But for now, people, deluded, I'm out. Thank you for watching and rocking as usual.